Welcome in to DNVR Buffs Live, presented by the American Raptors. I'm Henry Chisholm. We've got Ryan Koenigsberg here, and today we have so much to talk about. And obviously we're going to get to the Oregon game, but there's like a real storyline this week, a change at the offensive line coach. And obviously there's a bunch of people with a bunch of different opinions. People saying like it's not enough, people saying like took too long, all that kind of stuff. Just what are your general thoughts at this point about that decision, Ryan?
Oh man, how real are we going to get within the first minute of this
We're
show?
getting right into
going
it.
Right
we're going to
into
get through this, and we're going to get to Oregon.
Usually it's like, hey, how you doing?
Nope,
no beers
no
up
time
here
today.
I've put in a request for drinks. We'll see if it's met. So let me start here. I think that from start, leave out a little bit of the middle, to finish, this is the worst mark on the Carl Durrell era in Boulder. And I say that as, what's the new guy's name?
William Vlahos.
Vlahos. Okay,
Yep.
I'm glad I asked because I want to get that right. Vlahos, when you look at his resume, you come back saying, wow, that guy seems like he actually could be a solution. Do you agree?
I agree. I totally agree.
So how is it that when Mitch Rodriguez was hired with the original pool of assistant money, from the very beginning, it looked like a joke?
Yeah, it's that really is the big question, right? Like what there's some hires that you make, kind of like if they were to give William Vlahos the full-time job, you would say, yeah, that does make sense. He has that resume. This is a good hire. It's worth a try. And if it doesn't work out, you're like, okay, well, bad hire, and that's bad on you. But it wouldn't be nearly as bad as if you're saying this didn't work out. It was Mitch Rodriguez. How did this ever work out?
From high school, I mean, the fact that he was like, I called him blocking sled Billy Mays. Like he was selling blocking sleds at a high school. It just was such. From the beginning, it was like, wow, this better work, or it's going to be a really bad look. 1 year later, it's a really bad look.
And there was a reason that was the case.
Later.
Like, it's not like it's just like a random thing. It's because it looked like a bad hire, and it turned out to be a bad hire. And now every sideline AD or whatever can say,
I was right.
Yeah, duh, this is what we said all along.
Yes.
And that's what you want to avoid.
What I will say is that it would be revisionist history to forget that the offensive line was really good last year. And they were dominant, and they ran all over everyone. And you can make the case of, hey, look, once they didn't have a quarterback, that was the problem. And I would listen to that case. What I will say, though, is this last week, some of the quotes that have come out, especially from Carl Durrell himself, who is not doing himself any favors, saying like, yeah, it's crazy. The new guy came in, and all these guys are like, wow, we're learning something for the first time in weeks. Bro, come on, man. You can't say that.
It's rough.
You have to say, like, oh, the guys are really excited. They're learning some new things in a different way. It's nice to have a new voice in the room. All of the, the stuff. I mean, sometimes you got to, I guess, give a guy credit for saying the truth. But because of that quote, I kind of say, okay, well, Rodriguez was undoing some of the good stuff that was done before him by Kapilovic. And now they're trying to get back to that. Like, we're having to undo what he undid.
Yeah, what he proudly undid. What he was going around to all of us saying, oh, there's a lot of uncoaching that has to be done here. And, we've had to skip some other things because we're focused on uncoaching some of the things that... And it's like, well, no, that was a good offensive line coach. And so that right there was a red flag, and another red flag. And there's just been so many of those over and over again. And talking about last year, the offensive line under Mitch Rodriguez looking good, I've had a lot of conversations with Matt McChesney, including talking about how last year Rodriguez didn't have a chance to implement all of the things that he wanted to implement, and so they kind of had to run with the previous system. And now you talk to McChesney, and no, it was Carl this week saying, I think that this transition can be kind of smooth because these guys, they're just going to go back to some terminology we were using in the past, doing double teams the way we used it in the past, some pass protection things the way we did them in the past. And it's just like, well, so you're just going back to what you did 2 years ago, which is a good plan considering what we saw. But
if they were doing that stuff last year and it worked, why would it ever be tinkered with?
Mitch Rodriguez. And
this is my biggest issue with coaches across the universe. Always my way is better. It's always my way is better. And to me, that just makes no sense in so many different times. Some coaches are right. Their way is better. But there was no reason to change anything when what you had was working.
Totally. And it was a tough situation. Chris Kapilovic wanted to stay in Boulder. He wound up following Mel Tucker to Michigan State, but it was basically because of the circumstances.
Doubled his money at least, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, he made more money, but even if he hadn't been offered more money, I think he would have stayed if he knew that he had a job here. And that's the tough part is, he leaves and Mel says, I'm building this staff over the course of the next 10 days. You want to be on that staff or not? Meanwhile, Colorado's going through a coaching search that's going to take minimum 2 weeks. It's like, I don't know if I have a job in Boulder. I know I have a job there, and it's so late in the cycle that you can't take the gamble.
Yeah, the only way that you could have done that is if Rick George said, hey, I will make sure that my next coach brings you on. But that's a bad look, too.
It is.
As an AD, you can't really pull that kind of stuff because it just doesn't sit right. Look at what happened with the Broncos and Rich Scangarello and Vic Fangio, right? Yep. When they hired Vic Fangio, it was, hey, we want Kubiak to come be the offensive coordinator. Well, then things fall apart at the last minute. Kubiak's no longer the offensive coordinator. So Elway says, okay, well, I want this system. So who do you want from this system? And right from the start, you get off on a bad foot. Then you draft guys for that system. Then Vic Fangio, after year one, says, hey, man, why are you making me run your system? Let me do my things. If I'm going to fail here, let me fail my own way. And not to go into a whole Broncos podcast, but you create all sorts of new issues by doing that. So in defense of Rick George, it's not a good look for him to say, hey, so-and-so, do you want to be our coach? By the way, you have to hire this offensive line coach. Mm-hmm. Now, unfortunately for Rick, Carl Durrell would have done it. He wanted the job. He was going to take the job. He wasn't, and then you end up losing a very good offensive line coach and bringing in a very bad offensive line coach.
Yep. And it's, luckily it's over now. The Mitch Rodriguez era is over now. But I talk to a lot of people from a lot of different parts of the Buffs world, and there's some people where it's like Darian Hagan, everybody has good things to say. Yep. Like they don't say like, oh, we love everything about him. Some people have like little beefs about little things.
Everyone has beefs with everyone.
Exactly. But there are more negative reviews with Mitch Rodriguez that you hear than you expect. And so this whole time when you see the
this week.
Before this week.
It's always, everyone always has bad reviews on their way out the door.
Absolutely. And I do think that it was time for a change, because part of this is building relationships and having student athletes who want to work with you and are believing in you and think that they're getting better because of you. And when that is not happening, you just got to make a change. And I think that might have been a little bit of a factor there too. But yeah, it's a tough situation. But now you've got William Vlahos, who's going to be in there, and he gets a tryout. He's 33. That's typically an age where you start to get opportunities to be something like a Power 5 position coach. And if things go well, I think that the Buffs do hire him and bring him on full time. And that would be a nice perk because it'd be cheap.
Can you tell me a little bit more about his resume? I read just a little on Twitter and whatnot. But what does he bring to the table?
This is a good time to plug. If you're a member of thednvr.com, you can get on there and you can read the story that I wrote today, which is all about how Brian Daboll, the Bills offensive coordinator, was a big part of this process with Vlahos coming to Boulder. Oh. Yeah, because we'll start with that part because I think that's the most interesting. Yep. So Vlahos went to Alabama. He was a center there, a really good center there, and he wound up coming back as a grad assistant, was like a quality control coach there, did all those sorts of things. But when Brian Daboll was the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Bama, that's when they had like Mac Jones and Tua and Jalen Hurts and all those guys. I think he was a quality control coach. Vlahos was a quality control coach there. So after that season, Dable gets the job as the Bills offensive coordinator, brings Vlahos with him as an offensive assistant. And so he worked there running the same system that Carl Durrell runs, because Carl was Dable's quarterbacks coach when he was the offensive coordinator with the Dolphins in 2011.
The web is growing.
Yeah, I know. It's that's the thing, though, is it's such a big web.
Yeah.
And so you go through, and it's just like, here's how it's tied. And I actually talked to Carl about this. Carl hasn't been having the greatest time of his life, I don't think, just based on the things that we've seen. But when I asked him about all that stuff, saying like, yeah, is Dable a part of this? He like lit up. He was excited to talk about it, which makes sense. But yeah, I think that part of it you like. And Vlahos obviously runs the system, has a background of some successful teams.
How old is he?
33.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah. Yeah, and for a bunch of reasons. Because, one of the things we talked about when Carl was hired is that this should kind of become a coaching farm. Like, there's some places where it's like, oh, you're USC? Well, your path to success is scooping up all this easily acceptable or easily attractable. Accessible is the word. I had to change it because but yeah, turning it into like a good product and winning. That's not quite the case in Colorado. And so having somebody who can bring in coaches, have the ties, somebody like Brian Dable says, hey, this guy's good. You should check that out. He comes in. We already saw Taylor Embry go through and get a job in the NFL.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're really onto something there. The problem is you have to recruit, and that's why I like having young guys. Because the truth is, like, the older you get, the less inclined you are, and some guys are different, but the less inclined you are to fly all around the country and go try to convince 16-year-old kids why you're cool. Like, that's an exhausting thing over time.
Yes.
But Taylor Embry did a good job in the little bit of time that he had here, and he's a young guy. And the younger guys are, the more eager they are to do this sort of thing. So that's a part of it, but also the easier it is for them. It's a lot easier for a 33-year-old to convince a 16-year-old that he's cool and that the place they're going is cool than it is for a 50-year-old to do so. It's
Absolutely.
just math.
Absolutely. And on top of that, a young coach, it's going to be cheaper too.
Yep.
If they do decide they want to bring him on full time, that extra money could be used at other positions, potentially like offensive coordinator if there's a change there. And that's kind of the other thing is like...
Now, I was going to say really quick, I know there's Buffs fans. I haven't read anything on like the message boards or anything, but I guarantee you there's Buffs fans saying like, this would be so us to not conduct an actual search for a new offensive line coach and just do this internal promotion thing. So I feel like I just have to do a service to those people by bringing up that point of, it's another one where it's like, okay, you can get me excited on this, but it better work if you're not going to conduct a search.
Absolutely. And I think, the search comes after the season. I think I would be surprised if they don't at least do some other interviews.
Okay.
Regardless. But yeah.
Famous last words.
Famous last words.
But if they play well, you know what?
Why not?
Yep.
That starts this week. But
you were starting to talk about offensive coordinator.
That's right. It's one of those things where, there's positions where I do think that Rick George probably said, hey, whoever the new guy is, this is your guy. I think you look at Darian Hagan, I think that at the very least there was some pressure to probably keep Darren Cheverini around. And we talk about Carl Durrell and his strength really being the staff building side of things. If he's not totally building his whole staff, you're kind of handcuffing yourself or handcuffing him when it comes to, his best trait.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things, and again, this is very similar to the Kubiak-Scangarello situation I was just talking about. I think it was one of those things where it's like, hey, look, Chev wants to stay. He's been really valuable as a recruiter. Are you interested in keeping him on as OC, kind of like nudging him in the right direction?
Exactly. But yeah, I do think...
Were they doing that with Sark, too?
That's what you wonder. Is like, because you have to think that, like, if somebody like Sark wants to take over the program, you say, yeah, you take the reins. You can be the AD for all I care. Like, if you want to make changes to these basketball programs, like you want to get them new uniforms or something, you feel free. Do what you need to do.
I mean, I don't know if he's that good, but I will say that's kind of weird if that's what they were doing. Like, hey, we know you, but like, would you just would you keep this guy around? Like, it would mean a lot to the fan base.
Exactly.
And all. Like, that would be weird to do to Sark. With Durrell, at least it's like his former player, like there's a relationship there.
For sure. For sure. Any final thoughts here?
Yes, the selling the clothes on Facebook
How could we miss that?
was embarrassing.
Yep.
What are we doing? I saw a bunch of different figures out there for what he was making. Do you have a general idea of what he was making salary-wise?
I don't. I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, but I've never looked. I mean, it has to be a few $100,000.
Okay, yeah. So the number I was seeing was 400,000.
Okay.
What? What are we doing for $500?
I don't know. I did also see like somebody on Twitter say Plato's Closet was filled with free Mel Tucker stuff.
Not free, but yeah.
But basically, that's the approach in that situation. You don't need to make money.
Like
just donate it.
No, but Plato's Closet isn't a donation
do they give you
place.
money?
Yeah, it's like a Buffalo Exchange, like second. They just you
I'll
give
screw
them
Mel
a bag.
Tucker too then.
You give them a bag of clothes, they sift through it, and they tell you how much money they'll give you
I
for it.
think it's like store credit or you get a tax write-off.
Can you imagine they told Mel Tucker, like, all right, we'll give you $100 in store credit for these secondhand clothes. Yeah, you got to be kidding. Like, to do that publicly,
Yeah.
like, have your wife do it at the very least.
Exactly.
But it just kind of puts a bow on the top of it's what I'm talking about. It's just being a bad look. I'm not saying this is like an abject failure by Carl Durrell. He tried something that didn't work. Why he tried it, God knows.
God knows.
But all of these little things build up to it being a bad look. So much of college athletics, so much of life, but so much of college athletics is optics, right?
Totally.
The optics of hiring a guy out of high school who was a blocking sled salesman is bad. And then later on, he goes on to sell all of his gear. Like, it looks like you hired a used car salesman.
It totally does.
To coach your offensive
It totally does. And you can't do that. And I don't know. I did hear like somebody from CU reached out and was like, Mitch, you got to take this down or we're going to. And so you do have like.
Well, I heard they were like, we'll buy it back from you.
Just stop this.
Yeah.
This is a bad look for everybody.
Wow, look at this.
Wow.
Shout out to Allie.
Shout out to Allie. Feels like a good time to tell everybody how much we love the good people at Breckenridge Brewery. These are the Good Company hard seltzers, Honeydew. We love them. I'm actually really excited.
Sco Buffs.
Okay, yeah, Sco Buffs, Allie. I'm going to this Nuggets game tonight, hence the jacket.
Ooh.
And I'm going to need to drink a little bit.
I was going to make a joke about why I'm wearing my jacket, but I couldn't think of one that wouldn't be, like, dumb.
What jacket?
Nice.
I don't see a jacket. Seriously, they're the best. And if you want to come to any of our tailgates, we have them there. Whether it's the Broncos tailgate this Sunday, we'll have another Buffs tailgate the Saturday after this Saturday. Just can't go wrong with Breckenridge Brewery. But next Saturday, kind of today, that's fine. But 2 days ago, if I say next Saturday, that kind of is like, it's not this Saturday, is it? It's like, no, I would have said that, but there's at least the doubt. It's
a
like
week from tomorrow.
Have you heard about biannual?
Oh, and biweekly.
Yeah. But both of those, it can mean like twice a week or every other week.
Yeah, we got to do better than that.
How terrible is that?
Like,
we need separate words.
It's like a plot hole in the English language.
How does that happen?
I don't know.
Like, there's so many different... okay, we don't have time for this. I hate that.
Are you
though.
sure?
We have a big game tomorrow to talk about Oregon. The people want to hear us talk about what's... I just called you Oregon, so I'm so tired. It's been a long week.
You called me Oregon?
Yeah.
That's an interesting name.
Hope that doesn't make me see you. That's actually not a bad name.
Like, you had a child named Oregon Chisholm?
So
wouldn't fly well with
there's like the
Montana
Chisholm
family.
Trail. There's the Oregon Trail.
Oh.
Like if I was like a hiker or something.
Right.
Then yeah, or like
the Chisholm
Oregon Trail Chisholm. Yeah, I can never remember where it went. I'm gonna Google that.
See,
real quick.
I'm so good at distracting Henry.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah, it's
what
pretty easy.
what a tough thing. Post Civil War era, it was a cattle drive, Texas to Kansas.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean not that nice.
So you got Texas to Kansas to Oregon. You need a trail in between there for the middle name.
Oh,
Anyways, let's move on.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much said it all when it
Shout
comes
out
to Breckenridge Brewery. They're the absolute best in everything they do, and so we drink their drinks.
Amen.
You let's make these picks right here. We're talking about DraftKings Sportsbook, and so this will fit in. This will be a DraftKings pick of the week.
Oh, okay. I've got to do 2 this week.
Wow. You should tell them that. See if you get a bonus or something.
I should, yeah.
24-point spread. Oregon, Colorado. Oregon favored, by the way, in case you guys haven't heard.
We're just making our DraftKings pick of the week has to be about this game.
It does.
Different rules on this show. Okay. Yeah, give me Oregon and give away all the points.
Yeah. We'll talk more about this game, obviously, but here's a good stat. Colorado has lost 4 of its last 8 games against Oregon by at least 40 points.
Okay, I was like,
I
can only remember one win.
Yeah, and you would be correct. And so, I mean, when you look at that and say, well, it's 50-50, they lose by at least 40, mix in the fact that Oregon potential college football playoff, Colorado has some struggles, and yeah, I'm with you. We're going Oregon. Hate it though.
I'm just tired.
You know what? I am too. There was a day this week where I had to make the trip to Boulder twice. And once in the morning for football. And I was like, oh, no, this is no. And then at night, it's for basketball. And I was like, well, this is incredible.
Yeah.
I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah.
It's a difference. There's a noticeable difference.
Man, it hurts so much just seeing a 24-point spread and just being like, that's too low.
I know.
Like, that sucks so much. Anyways, you can keep driving the show.
DraftKings is incredible, though. We make all our bets with them. If you want to bet on this Colorado game, one way to do it is through their parlay system. You can make a 5-leg college football parlay. They'll boost it 25%.
I almost hit one 2 weeks ago. So.
I did, too. Eric one night was telling me, like, you got to cash out. And I was like, no, this is going to hit. I don't want $80. I want $500.
Which is understandable.
$0 was what I got. This week, though, it's happening. In part because of Oregon. I actually sold some points there. If you guys are hungry for a big win, though, there's another way to do it. If you're a new user, $5 on any NFL team. If they win, you get $200 in free bets. It's a great deal. If you guys have been around for a while, there's other great deals too, like the same game parlays. And like the parlay boost that I just mentioned. So make sure that you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the promo code DNVR. Bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game. Win $200 in free bets. If they win, you win with promo code DNVR this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Gambling must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. All right. Let's jump into these stock reports. Let's do that. We're
using visual cues.
We are using visual cues.
Love visual cues. Yours are over here too.
Oh, they're all over here.
Wait. I only have 2.
Yeah, they're up and down.
Okay, all right. It looks like you had 3.
There's like a middle.
It's like, there's got to be a yellow
like
one.
An out.
A yellow one that goes this way.
That was incredible.
Actually,
I only have
that
2. Yeah, up and down.
All right, you guys know how this works. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna name a player or something, and we're gonna say stock up or stock down. And we're also going to say if we're buying or selling. And that's kind of the big thing because there's 5 games left. There's potential for stocks to go up or down.
It's crazy that people have been playing the stock up, stock down game forever without doing the are you buying or selling.
I know. You need to buy and sell. Like, that's the best part.
I agree.
All right.
You in on that Shiba Inu coin?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's the latest, greatest Dogecoin.
I decided it's time just to... I am retired from cryptocurrency.
Did you cash out your Doge?
I did.
You had to make some off
I did. Oh, yeah, I made money.
Yeah.
That's probably the best thing I've ever done is buy Dogecoin. Well, selling it and just taking the profits is right up there too. But let's start with this. The offensive line. Stock up, stock down. How do we do this? Should we do a countdown? 3, 2, 1. Oh, look. Oh, no. Stock down on the offensive line. Why are you saying stock down?
If a company has to fire their CEO... their stock goes down. So
what if everybody knows that the CEO is bad and then they hire a fun young CEO?
That helps.
It does help.
It did all happen really fast. Maybe it would have dipped down and then already come all the way back up. What I would say as a retail investor in this stock is I need to see what direction the new young CEO is taking the company in before I say their stock is going up. I would say stock down because the company was in disarray. But it's probably it probably went all the way down. It's starting to come up a little bit just because there's some excitement about this new guy. If they go out and play great this week, then the stock's going to skyrocket.
Totally. And I'm having a tough time deciding whether to buy or sell. I'm going to sell because.
Wait, so why'd you say up?
Because I think they have a better offensive line coach.
Okay.
I'm going to say I'm selling. Not because I don't think things are going to get better, but because I think there's a really good chance I'm going to get a better deal next week. I'm gonna ride this through this Oregon game. We're gonna talk plenty about Kayvon Thibodeaux toward the end of this show, but just to let people know, he's the defensive end for Oregon, who is the best football player in the country, number 1 pick in the draft, I think.
Yeah,
and for that reason, I'm going to wait till next week when the stock probably goes down even more. Plus, how much can a good coach help in 5 days?
Right. Like the Q1 earnings report is coming out this weekend, and everyone knows it's going to be terrible. So you're smart to wait. I will say that I am going to it's funny, we're opposites here. I said the stock's down and I'm going to buy it. You said the stock's up and you're going to sell it.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy it here because I believe in the future. But yeah, it's basically one of those things where I'm like, if it goes down after this week, but it's just because Kayvon Thibodeaux went crazy, I'll just buy again next week. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
If it goes up, what I think the biggest problem for these guys is, I'm trying to work myself out of business analogies now and just talk about football. I think the biggest problem for these guys right now is the quarterback. So I think it's going to be really hard for Vlahos to come in and change much unless he can convince Brendon Lewis to throw the football faster.
Yeah. I do think that the offensive line really did make Brendon Lewis look worse.
Interesting. So you think it's...
I don't know if he's going from a 4 out of 10 to a 1 out of 10 because of that, or if it was a 2 to a 1.
See, I think he makes the offensive line look worse.
Oh, he does. They're both making each other look really bad.
Fine.
It's
working.
I'm not sure if you watched, but things are going poorly.
Yeah,
everything is working against Colorado. But yeah, I think Brendon Lewis bounces back a little bit. Actually, let's do that. Brendon Lewis, stock up, stock down.
Stock down.
Yeah.
He
threw 69 yards worth of passes last week.
Dude, I've never seen anything like this.
I know.
And I thought I'd seen it all. But I'd like to know in the last 10 years, 20 years, how many games a Colorado quarterback has had less than 100 yards passing. But I guarantee, I will guarantee that in the last 20 years it has happened less than it has happened in this season.
I would have trouble picking a side, but because you pick that side and I know that you pay attention, that's enough to knock me over, and I agree.
I'm sure I'm thinking maybe Jordan Webb had a game or two like that. Bernard Jackson was essentially running the option at one point, so he probably had some sub 100 games.
Mm-hmm.
But it is unbelievable. I cannot believe what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
We're in I talk about this with the Broncos all the time, but we are in the golden.
So similar.
We are in the golden era of passing the football in football.
For sure.
How do you come out of a game with less than 100 yards? It just doesn't make sense to me.
How do you average 117 passing yards per game when everybody else in the conference has at least 200? It's crazy.
I hate when people do this, but I'm going to do it.
Oh, no.
117 yards. I'm not saying I could do better. I really don't think I could. But I know I could do better than 0.
Okay.
You give me a whole game,
Yeah.
I'm going to pass for more than 0 yards.
As long as you don't get knocked out quick.
So if I get to 18 yards, I'm within 100 yards of a Division I quarterback.
This is a question for you. If you were say you start for the Broncos this week, first play it's a passing play. how long would you have to be guaranteed time in the pocket to complete a pass? Like if I said like you get 50 seconds, you get to stand there, somebody gets open, you gotta get. How long does it take?
I mean, not that long.
No, not that long.
I think like 3 seconds.
3 seconds, you could complete a pass in the NFL.
I think so.
That's I don't know.
I'm just like looking for a hitch from the tight end.
It's completing an NFL pass though. Are you getting it? Oh, I mean, I guess that's fair. That is the pass that you go for.
Right, like tight end just goes out there, he turns around at 5 yards, and I hit him. 1,000.
Why don't you just do that every time? Why are you not Tom Brady?
Well, eventually they would take that away.
That's true, I guess.
But maybe they would right away. Gosh, if they know who I am.
I mean, they're pressing hard.
Yes.
They might not even cover the guys on the boundaries.
So yeah, I'm looking over at Noah Fant, just saying like, bro, just get your hands out, let me hit him. Anyways,
okay, back.
I
back
find
to
it crazy
football.
that I think I could get within 100 yards of that average.
For sure.
It seems
That
weird.
is 100 yards of that average. That is weird. That is a way to put it. I could hit like a pitching wedge for the entire game.
That's too much club. I can literally hit a lob wedge.
How confident are you that this week you could hit a pitching wedge farther than the Buffs will pick up in the passing game?
You're gonna make me like toot my own horn here.
I know.
But I can hit a pitching wedge 160 yards. So I'm absolutely taking me versus that.
What club do you need to outgain the entire CU offense?
I don't. What's the average offensive yards per game?
So the tough part is that I'm on the entire NCAA team stats. Luckily, I'm just going to sort by yards per game. Oh, last in the country. That was easy. 238.
Oh, so I mean,
It's Oregon
this
too.
week. Okay, all right, this week. So 238 is probably going to be a 4-iron for me. I think I can hit 6-iron and be safe this week.
We're gonna track that.
That's like 210.
I feel like we gotta go Spring Valley this week. Once we get the number from
Yes.
the Buffs, see if you can outgain
With a 6-iron.
the Colorado Buffaloes.
Because I have to stick with my club, right?
Yeah. Yep. 6-iron. We'll see. We'll get the number. This is a fun game.
Mitch and Spence prepare the first hole.
Any interest in buying any Brendon Lewis stock with the new offensive line?
No.
Good call. We can move
I
along.
feel bad. Like,
For sure.
Matt McChesney got mad at me because every time I criticized Brendon Lewis, I had to preface it by saying, I feel bad that I have to say this.
Yep.
And he was like, stop. We need to stop feeling bad for everyone. And I was like, I know, but it's not necessarily his fault. Like, he's being put in a position to fail, I think.
I think so too.
And that's not even the coach's fault, really, either, other than the fact that they didn't bring in more depth at the position.
For sure. Brendon Lewis, stock up, sorry, we did that. Carl Durrell, stock up, stock down.
Stock down.
I'm going to go stock up.
Okay.
He made the change. And the stock was down.
Like, pulling the trigger on your own failure.
Yeah.
Trying to talk the S word, and I said, "Don't bring up the Rams in this house."
You can say shit.
Okay.
Talk the S word. I didn't even really. Yeah, I get it now.
You don't get credit for undoing your own failure, in my opinion. If it works and you get the Vlahos part right, then I'll say your stock's up.
What if you have refused to correct your failure for weeks past due, and now it's like, okay. So my thought is,
So we're getting credit for undoing the failure of not undoing your failures.
the stock was really low, Ryan. but yeah, absolutely. I mean, my thought is there's a change, and we've been wanting a change. And so compared to where we were last week when everybody's saying, why isn't there a change? Saying, the change is too late, or it's a change that is because you made the mistake. It's not up a lot, but the stock is up. Any interest in buying or selling here?
I'm selling. I've seen this story too many times, man. Like, I feel like I'm a seasoned vet in knowing what it looks like when a coach is going the wrong direction. I mean, I haven't been in this industry for that long. Let's see. 2012?
It's always weird to put a starting number on it.
So I've been in this.
Pick one.
I've only been in this industry for 9 years, and I think I've seen like 7 coaches get fired of teams that I cover.
Yeah.
And 1 Super Bowl, so
Yeah.
it's not all my fault.
That's more just it's more just a commentary on the rough state of Colorado football right now.
It is true. That is
Across
true.
the whole state.
It's
Yeah,
true.
because I did cover basketball in there as well, and I covered 0 coach firings in that sport.
Go Tad Boyle.
Yeah, Tad's the best. So yeah, I've seen this story play out. It's the same thing I'm looking at with Vic Fangio right now. I'm like, Vic is way further down the line. Like, I'm like, there's
Absolutely.
no coming back from where you are.
Totally.
What Carl Durrell has going for him is a big old, plaque on his wall that says Coach of the Year in the Pac-12.
Yep.
Which can't necessarily be forgotten. He did a fantastic job last year.
He did an incredible job.
What sucks is you can't win and not recruit. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So when you're not recruiting well, I don't feel like he is a great in-game coach in terms of his decisions. Like, you're only getting one of the 3 things right, which is like, I don't know, like being like a stabilizing CEO style force for the program, which is part of the job.
Totally.
But I feel like he's missing on some of the other parts. And so I'm not saying he's definitely going to get fired, in the next 2 years. But I'm saying the way it's trending is not, as a buyer or seller of the stock, I want nothing to do with it.
I think that's fair. I think that's really fair. And I think that the one thing that I would say that would bounce back the other direction a little bit is just that there's potential for him to learn. And I think there's things that you can go through, like this horrible offensive stretch.
I'm willing to learn, though.
Totally. That is definitely a part of it. And we don't have any evidence one way or the other. But I do think that, like, he was 2 hands off. This is something Chris Wilson has said, is that my job as defensive coordinator is to see what's going wrong and fix it. And we haven't seen that happen with the offense. And I think Carl Durrell, on the outside, we see him as an offensive guy. We see him as the guy who's like, okay, he's sure he's the head coach, but he's kind of like overseeing the offensive side of things. And I don't think that that's actually what happens with him.
I don't look at him that way. I see
Okay.
him as the CEO style coach who just delegates.
Yeah, and I think that he's delegated too much. Either that,
I think you're onto something.
He just needs to jump in, and I think that hopefully he sees that too, and he agrees. And if something like this happens next year, then he does jump in.
I just thought of like a new segment that we should be using.
Okay.
It's called working title. What are they saying behind the scenes? What is Carl Durrell? What do you think Carl Durrell is telling his friends when, I don't know if he does this, but let's say tonight he's going out for a beer with his friends and they're like,
Okay.
dude, what's going on? What is he telling them?
I think it's 3 big complaints. I think it's the offensive line, it's the quarterback, and it's the play calling, the offensive coordinator.
So
but then to get more detailed, it's like, is he saying, I can't believe that these tackles can't figure it out. I can't believe Mitch Rodriguez couldn't teach these guys anything. Like, how are you consistently blowing things? You get no push ever. You can't do anything. And it's Mitch Rodriguez, a guy who, who knows where he goes off there. But I think that this week it might be that. It could be Darren Cheverini. It could be Brendon Lewis. How is he not processing?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, we know what the issues are, but I want to know what he's really saying to people who are saying, like, hey, like, what's going on with the quarterback? Like, I personally think he might be telling people, especially because I've had this exact conversation with coaches, not him, but with coaches before. I think he's just saying, like, we can't do anything with the quarterback. Like, we're trying everything to teach him. We're trying to get him to release the ball quicker. And for whatever reason, like, I watched an episode. Have you seen Ted Lasso?
Oh, yeah.
So I just got past the Yips episode.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen this new season. I still haven't gone to that one.
There's an episode where they talk about you're not supposed to say it out loud, by
Yeah.
the way, according to the episode.
I think I watched. Was that like the first episode?
Yes.
I think I did watch that one, and then I haven't caught up.
So, like, Brendon Lewis looks like he has the yips. He cannot pull the trigger. And I honestly think that behind the scenes, that's what Carl Durrell is telling people, like, there's nothing I can do, and we can't go to the other kid because he's just not ready.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a real chance he's bringing up the offensive line first. I think you look at what has happened there, and it's just about every play. And you see the difference. I thought those first 2 drives of that game, I thought Brendon Lewis played well. I thought he made some throws. I thought that, like, he stepped up well in the pocket. And then the offensive line totally fell apart. And there's plays where, like, back-to-back plays where you'll see sacks, and the guy who's getting the sack just isn't even touched. And part of it is on Brendon because he hasn't been able to bounce back from those situations, and he definitely has flaws. I have gotten to the point where I hate seeing that throw where he runs all the way to the sideline and he stands there and he waits for his receiver to run all the way to the sideline and he throws it straight up to the sideline. Not because it's a bad play or anything, but because it's like, okay, it's this one again. He likes that.
And that only gets completed like 40% of the time.
It's like 1 for 4.
Okay,
Or
25%.
3 times, I might. But yeah, something like that. But yeah, it's tough.
It's crazy. One of my favorite throws of the game was the interception. Like, that's how low the bar is.
I know.
Like, he hit his back foot and he threw it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yep.
I don't even care that it was picked. Just put it in a better spot next time, and that's a completion.
Jarek Broussard, stock up, stock down.
Ooh, it was pretty low going into last week, and went up a little bit for me. I think the last couple weeks he's looked more like himself, just based off of like what I'm seeing with my eyes. So I'll say his stock is up a little bit over the last couple weeks, and that goes into what were his numbers last week?
11 for 28.
Yeah, it's not good.
He also had that catch. He had the what was it, 21 yards down the sideline?
Yeah, maybe that helps. So 50 yards of offense or whatever it is.
Tap the toes.
He's making moves in the hole again. Like, that was what he did last year. He got that linebacker in the hole one-on-one and just froze them in a phone booth and got right past them. And I saw that a couple times in these last 2 weeks where I'm like, oh, right, that's back.
Totally. And he did that. He broke like the 14-yarder on the first drive. And then the rest of the way, 10 carries for 14 yards.
Yikes.
And it's just like, we know the offensive line is historically bad. And again, like, I don't know. I'm not going to say it's the most talented group, but there's more talented than this bad.
So what's your where are
I'm
you
going to say stock down.
Okay.
Just because it's
been in free fall like since the whole season is basically
exactly because it's like you're just waiting for the big game. And every week that you don't get the big game, and again, I don't even think it's his fault.
I keep thinking that
it's just
like,
not happening.
I keep thinking that he's like, we're waiting for him to get back from that injury, but there wasn't one. Like,
it's so weird.
Like, doesn't it feel that way though? Like,
totally.
He's working his way back from injury. That's what I keep thinking in my head, and I'm like, wait, no, he was healthy. Well, I mean, as healthy as you can be after what 200 some touches, maybe even more than that. What did he have? Touches last year.
I mean, it was about 26, 27 a game for 6 games.
Okay. So, a lot.
Yeah.
120, 100. And
over 150.
Right. But even that, it was a shortened season. I don't know what's wrong. It has to be the offensive line.
Yeah.
That has to be the variable that's changed here.
I mean.
And the quarterback. There's more defenders in the box.
The offensive line has been so bad. Any interest in buying here?
Yeah, I'll buy.
Okay. I like it.
I'll buy. I think he's due. Now, it's not going to come this week. Although I think I saw that Oregon gives up a lot of rushing yards.
Yeah. I think they do, actually. Let me double check that. But yeah, I have a tough time buying anybody this week, honestly. And I do agree that he's due to break out. And I think that he is capable of doing it in this game.
Like, in that, wouldn't it be very poetic for like the new offensive line coach comes in, they get back to some of those double teams that they were doing, whatever.
And it's just that simple.
And it was that easy. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice.
It would also be embarrassing, but nice in a vacuum.
All right. Real quick, let's talk about our friends over at Ball. We love Ball. They're great. They make cans.
Yep.
They employ Zach's aunt.
Aunt Julie.
Aunt
Let's
Julie.
Go.
And we love Zach, and by extension, his aunts.
Yep.
What more could you ask for from a company that makes cans? Are these are also Ball, right?
Oh, they're all Ball.
Everything is Ball. 101 billion cans made last year. It's got to be a record. If not, I wonder what that record is.
That's the record.
It's got to be the record. but yeah, it's still sustainable. It sounds like a big number. It sounds like we're filling up the oceans, killing the fish with these little tabs. No. You are 75% of the world's aluminum that has ever been produced is still in use today because it's so easy to recycle.
What do you think happened to the other 25%?
Idiots. They're just like, yeah, I'm going to throw it in the ocean. Kill a fish. Or even worse, a turtle.
Wouldn't that technically mean it's still in circulation?
I mean, it can't just disappear. Like, are we firing it into space or something?
Well,
Like,
maybe you like chop it up and put it into the soil.
I think we're
It's still
talking
there.
about cans that get stuck in landfills.
oh, landfills. But if you want to work for them, they are hiring. All you got to do is text Golden to 77222 or go to jobs.ball.com. They get all sorts of great reviews. They've got 100% on their the human rights campaigns, corporate equality index. It's great stuff. And again, that's Golden to 77222 or go to jobs.ball.com and search for Golden. It'll get you all set up. All right. We're going to play a quick game of these over-unders here. Should be a good time. I picked out a bunch of different lines that I created myself, things that are going to happen in this game. And we're going to see what Ryan thinks. Typically, there's like one in here that somebody just roasts me for. Or it's like, that's not even close. Like, you're off by 100 yards and where that line should be. But we'll see how I did setting these lines today. We're going to start with this. 25 minutes of possession for the University of Colorado. Going over or under?
Are we still using the arrows?
Oh, we should. This is great. Yeah, over under.
Double use of the arrows. We're like aluminum over here, just
We
recycling
are.
these things. Over under 25 minutes of possession. Can you tell me what they're averaging this season?
I can't. I can tell you it was 23 last week.
Okay, then that'll make that easy. Under.
Okay. Yeah, I can't blame you for that. I'm also going under. I think that we know what's going to happen tomorrow, and it sucks, but
Usually on game day, my feelings change. We'll see if that happens.
tough to see it happening here. 149 and a half CU passing yards. Averaging 117 for the season. They're going to be down.
Under. If you're listening to this in podcast form, you can't see the look that I gave Henry.
Oh, yeah, it was a bad look.
That number was way too high.
I'm going over.
Wow, okay. Why wouldn't you just set it at 117, the average?
I was going to, and I was like, it's football, and those are passing yards. Like, it has to be higher. but yeah, I'm going over because I think Brendan Rice gets something. They're going to be throwing the ball the entire game. I mean, the game plan will be to run the ball, but you throw that out about 5-6 minutes in when you're down 3 scores. 3.5 Kayvon Thibodeaux sacks. Oh, I did. Nice little typo on my end.
Well,
there.
he can record definitely more than 3.5 stats. I'm going to say under. The reason why is I think Vallejos is a smart guy. I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt on that. I don't know anything about him. But Brian Daboll's a smart guy, that's for sure. So he likes him, and he's probably smart. I think he's going to say, like, no way we get beat by Kayvon Thibodeaux. Just double him, whatever you got to do. Take him out of the game. As an inferior opponent, like, you can't come in here saying, like, we're going to do what we do and make them change to us. Like, you'd have to literally be insane.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to say, like, we're going to do what they do. We're going to figure out what they do and try to take that away. And that gives us our best chance of winning. So I'm saying under. That doesn't mean he's not going to get any, but I don't think he gets 3.5 getting doubled all game.
I'm going over. That he's so good.
He is really
These
good.
tackles are not.
So, like,
I think they're going to throw the ball a lot.
It
Colorado
should be
gave up 6 sacks last week.
it should be so simple to tell Brendon Lewis, like, dude, this guy's a freak. You cannot stand back there. But, like, that has to have been what they've been saying all season. You can't stand back there like that, and he keeps doing it. So, yeah.
This is sad. 2 CU tackles give up a sack to Kayvon Thibodeaux. I went with 2 on the dot, so you have to go 1 or 3.
Wait, what?
2 on the dot. You're going over under 2 CU tackles to give up a sack. Because remember, they're rotating like 4 of them in. They're changing sides. I checked. Kayvon Thibodeaux has played equal snaps on both sides.
Under.
I'm going over. I think he gets 3 of them.
You say he's getting. Doesn't matter who they put in. He's getting all of them.
I think he is getting 3 different tackles in this game.
I see. I don't even think he's gonna have the. I just don't think he's gonna have even the opportunity to.
This
We'll
is
see.
a hot take. I deserve a lot of credit if it hits, but I think it happens. Last one here. Oh. Never mind. That was a note. Those are all
So
of them.
that's it.
Before we get out of here, real quick, we're going to go through the path to victory.
Oh.
Building the game plan.
Is this like the Chisholm Trail?
We're going to... Ooh, that would have been a lot better name for this. How do you win this game? Upsets are possible. We've seen them before. This would be a major one. But, the quarterback has struggled at times.
Yeah. So you win this one by... It starts with an early... fluky touchdown, and by fluky I just mean broken coverage, missed running gap assignment, where you break a big one, you go up 7-0. You pretty much have to go up 7-0.
Okay.
Then you create a turnover to make it 14-0, like a pick six from Nate Landman, let's say.
He's not playing. He's not playing.
He's not playing.
That's going to make it even tougher.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. A pick six from Marvin Ham.
I like it. Okay. You can fill in.
Just throwing out a random name. Pick six from Mark Perry. Whoever. You have to, basically, you go up 14-0, and then the defense... God, I can't even say this in sincerity without Nate Landman. But the defense basically protects the lead the rest of the game. Maybe you get a couple field goals. But you basically have to win this, 20-17 or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think need a special teams touchdown. Need a defensive touchdown. You need an offensive touchdown.
Rice almost had one last week.
That gets you to 21 points right there. Maybe you're able to get another big return, get a field goal out of it. It's crazy last week. This is another Brian Howell stat. But against Cal, they only got across the 41-yard line one time. And that was when Brendon Rice returned a kick past the 41-yard line. And then they still needed a penalty to get into field goal range.
Telling you, dude, I thought we had seen it all. I thought CU fans had seen it all.
All right.
And this is just a new, fresh hell.
Anything in the chat that we should touch on before we get out of here, Kale? Nope. All right. Well, then let's get out of here. You look like you have something to say.
Let's end on one positive note.
Good, yeah.
Give me a couple players that you are excited about moving forward.
Ooh, that will be fun. Just guys who are fun to watch. Obviously, Christian Gonzalez.
Yep.
That's the number one. And... I think that this is one of those games that you look at for anybody who has hope of being in the NFL and say, this is something the scouts are going to look at. They're going to look at Texas A&M first, probably look at the Oregon game number 2. And so for a guy like that, if he makes a couple big plays, that's exciting, and that's true of the other guys too. Mekhi Blackman, I think this is a big one for him too. I think that secondary in general is probably the place I'd go first. Those linebackers can be fun. If you do get to see a lot of Marvin Ham, it'd be fun to see where he's at because we'll be seeing a lot of him probably next year. Jack Lamb, same thing. Offensively, it's always Brendon Rice.
Yeah. What about Vontae?
Yeah, Vontae's going to be back this week. Or I think he's going to be back this week. He's supposed to be back this week, and we'll see what happens. But it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting, and he could put up some big numbers. He's capable.
You hit on most of the guys that I had on my mind. Vontae was the other one that I was just like, oh, man. I want to see some other running backs get work.
It'd be fun to see some Deion Smith.
I think you tweeted out once. It's it feels like every time Deion Smith's on the field, something good happens.
Yeah. His mom DM'd me. She agrees.
I agree with
so there
you
we go.
And his mom. So I'd like to see that. I'd like to see Ashad Clayton.
Yeah. He
was hurt last week or something?
Yeah. He had the knee thing, a knee scope or something.
Oh, okay. So
but that was a couple weeks ago. I don't think he's back this week. Okay. But I don't think we have confirmation when we're there. Would have been fun though.
Here's the other person I'm excited about. Drew Carter.
I knew it. I knew it. Yeah.
He threw one ball. It didn't go anywhere near where it was supposed to go, but it was humming.
Dear Lord.
It was humming. They definitely whistled as it went by someone's face.
Brendon was a little banged up after that last game, so we might see a little bit quicker trigger. It's one of those things that Carl has said a lot. Said again on Monday is we'd like to get Drew some more reps. It's
what does that mean?
Then do it.
Right.
Is it you have total control? Feel free. Right.
It's me.
What
is
me
saying
you?
I'd like to do more podcasts and then just not doing it.
I know. It's yeah.
You have full control of how many podcasts.
I'd like to tie my shoe.
Just stand there and trip over it all day.
Yeah, it's what a team, what a season. Potential for something big to happen tomorrow. Look what they did at Texas A&M.
I have one more positive thing I want.
Yes.
You went to the basketball game the other night.
Oh boy, yeah.
Give me a little scouting report.
They are good. That's the scouting report. That was so much fun. I mean, any concerns that we had about scoring, I mean, you can't totally throw them out the window, but to win by 30 against, sure, it's a School of Mines.
A real team.
It is a real team.
Yeah.
I mean, but no, I mean, they were in the Elite Eight in Division II last year.
Okay. So, yeah.
I mean, Evan was saying after the game, the last time they played was his redshirt freshman year, and they were tied at halftime, and I wound up winning by 9. This week, they blew them out. You saw there were 7 turnovers in the first 10 minutes of the game for CU.
Oh, wow.
3 the rest of the way.
Okay.
They were able to just
the
fix it right
gasket.
there. Oh, of course. Of course.
Damn, missed it.
But yeah, they were 2 of 17 from 3 in that game, which, again, you don't love to see, but then you remember they put up 78 points. But yeah, I mean, KJ Simpson's just so explosive getting to the rim. Keyshawn, I think, is a real shooter now, and we saw it
That's
early.
huge.
The first couple possessions, he was pulling it, and it looked nice.
And that's
what we've
changed
seen
the
in practice.
offense in a way that not even McKinley really brought to the table.
Exactly. And that's the thing is, like, yeah, you're losing McKinley. You're going to be worse at the point guard position this season. That's just the way it is. But that doesn't mean that there can't be some parts that improve. And if you start stretching that defense out by shooting some more threes, that's totally possible. Elijah, he goes by now.
Oh.
Yeah, I like it. He made the decision on his birthday, he told me.
Wow.
Yeah, back in September. But he's playing like a vet. He's making like nice passes. He just looks like a good veteran guard. Like he almost looks like just like he has like this swag. He makes the passes and he'll shake and he'll get himself some nice little jump shots, which in the past is something we've said like, nope, you go to the corner, you shoot from the corner. This year I wouldn't mind seeing him play with the ball in his hands a little bit more.
Yeah, there's like a weird thing that happens in college basketball when you're able to get guys to their senior year. Mm-hmm. Like that's a man now. Mm-hmm. It's a real live man on the court. And it just changes things.
Other thing I'll say is that we have been sleeping on Tristan Da Silva. That is a guy who
a lot of people are saying this.
I think it might be like bound for the next level even.
Also, somehow Luke O'Brien went from looking like a gangly like end of the bench walk on to like a basketball player.
Which is big for him because he's always getting into the paint and missing. And now he's getting to the paint and he's strong enough to go up and be strong and bang on guys a little bit. And
that's like a wild transition, though.
It is. I mean, he put on some muscle.
Yes. Like he completely transformed his whole body.
It's crazy.
Even like his hair, his face looks different.
It totally does. It totally does. But I mean, this entire roster. I mean, Lawson Lovering, this was a fun one. So he had, first of all, he and KJ and Julian all told me that they were incredibly nervous before this game and even during the game. And something that Tad said, he was like, after the game, he was like, yeah, it's like this is an exhibition against the School of Mines. But you forget that for all these freshmen, it's like their first time in the arena. And Lawson, like, he said he was like a little bit nervous and like moving a little too fast in the beginning. But in the second half, he had the ball on the post, has 2 little pump fakes, does a little spin, little step through, gets the rim and knocks down. And that footwork, all of it together took like 3 seconds. And he just strings it together. The next morning I talked to him. I was like, so what happened on that play? And he was like, honestly, I don't even know. I don't even know. I got to the bench and those guys were like, that was really cool. Like those little pump fakes. And I just had to tell him, like, I blacked out. Like, I don't even remember what happened. He was saying, like, yeah, it was crazy how my fans were there. I was like, yeah, no, imagine there's going to be 5 times that many in the regular season. It's like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's 2,000. It holds 11,000. And just, it's going to be a lot of fun with this team this year.
Love it. I can't wait. See, that is a great note to end on.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And who knows? Maybe tomorrow there'll be some more great notes. Even if you keep it close,
if I see like a long touchdown pass, that's good enough for me.
High standards.
My bar could not be lower.
That's going to be it for today. We'll be back tomorrow, though. After the game, we'll be talking about the game, and we'll see you guys then. Should be a good time. Shout out to producer Kale behind the scenes doing the producing. And thanks, Ryan, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you again soon.